20 years ago, you burned CDs for your gigs. 10 years ago, you exported music to a USB drive from Rekordbox. And today, you just tap your phone and access a cloud of music and streaming all on this, the brand new CDJ-3000X from AlphaTheta. Yes, you heard that right. This is the first CDJ without the Pioneer DJ brand name on it. I'll get to more of that later, but first let's just reel off some of the highlights. It's got the biggest screen ever on a CDJ, NFC and Wi-Fi for instant streaming, a global tag system that pulls from your USB, streaming and Dropbox all at once, and a new queue workflow that's honestly next level. This includes the long-awaited gate queue mode, a hot queue preview mode which allows you to set hot queues on the playing song or from the headphones, plus a new smart queue feature, which we will demo later, along with everything else. Oh, and before we do the deep dive, there is a link below to a 5-part CDJ skills course. It's all for free, and it will show you how to get creative and manage your music better on equipment like this and the previous model CDJs. Let's get stuck in. So at first glance, the form factor is almost identical to the predecessor, in being that nearly every single button that you see on the previous CDJ is mapped out in exactly the same way on this one. However, there's a few bits to highlight. First of all, there's a lot of the print work that's been taken off, like on the tempo just here. It's been made much sleeker. We've removed the logo down at the bottom and it just looks much more of a clean design because there's not as much print on the face. The other things that you won't see but that have been updated is the jog wheel tension adjust. They basically added more steps into this control. So if I just show you on light now and I spin them both roughly the same sort of pressure, you'll see that this one spins for ever so slightly longer. It's a minimal thing. It does just feel a bit tighter if you like to have it on heavy, for example. That spins away from you, that doesn't. Even if I give it a really hard nudge, it doesn't spin away from you as much as that one. So it's minimal, but it's there. The other thing under the hood is a Q button. It's been redesigned so you can have many more presses of it, basically. So just something else to be aware of. And then lastly, on the actual face of the unit, the only real difference is the fact that the slip and quantize buttons have sort of changed position. And then you'll notice that we now have a USB-A and a USB-C port on the top. Just because we're getting a lot of USB-C drives now, it's becoming the standard. We've lost the SD card slot, so any SD users will have to transfer to a USB drive. The real update to this unit, compared to its predecessor, all comes within this huge 10.1-inch touchscreen. It looks much cleaner. You can obviously see much more of your playlists. There's many more tracks on there, but there's a lot going on under the hood, especially within the screen. So let's dive a bit deeper. One of the first things you'll notice is this cloud login. And this is basically the biggest update to the CDJ-3000X here, is that we now have streaming capability attached. And not only that, there's single sign-on that's been built into it as well. You'll notice straight away if I hold the menu button and go to network, we now have Wi-Fi in there. So we can connect to Wi-Fi. It's not just reliant on the Ethernet, which was on the previous model, which is a great update. With cloud login, you can access multiple things. If I press login here, you'll see that it prompts me to either scan the QR code or tap my phone against the NFC reader at the front of the unit. So I can take my phone and I can simply tap it against it. And then if you have the latest Rekordbox iOS app, it will just log in to this player seamlessly so you can access all of your connected streaming partners or your connected cloud library. I'll show you how it works as well, just with the QR code here. We can just scan it and then it will come up on my phone, ask me to log in, just as simple as that. Press authenticate and then we'll see on the screen, boom, it's logged in, as simple as that. And when you set up your AlphaTheta account, you can connect all of the different services. So if you have Cloud Direct Play and you are storing your music and synchronizing it with the Cloud Direct Play, which is an added feature of Rekordbox, it will connect to Dropbox or Google Drive. It's automatically connected, you can see. If you have a Beatport account, you can log in and then once you're logged in, it will remember that. Here, Tidal, I'm connected. I didn't have to log in again, it was just connected to my account and I can straight away tap into the Tidal streaming service, scroll through my collection, go to my playlists, scroll through all of my different playlists. This translates across the link network, so you can then view all of this and access all of this on the next set of CDJs if it's linked via the Ethernet port. Without going too deep into Cloud Library Play, this is basically all of my music that I've decided to store within the Cloud Direct Play, which is a service from Rekordbox where you can have your own locally stored files, you can have stuff from streaming services, and it all kind of lives in one place. And all of the music management and also hot cues and grid editing all transfers seamlessly between the device and the laptop and your mobile device, and it all works nicely together. And it means that you can go in there and I could go into playlists, and these are the playlists that I have access to. These playlists are also, on my Rekordbox software on my laptop as well, and you can choose to transition between the two seamlessly. The last few things to mention on this screen is the gear icon here, where we can go in and you can change some of the settings to do with this new cloud login system. And in streaming, for example, Tidal, you can choose to have lossless quality or high. So you've got some options there built into this tab system. If you go on info, it shows how many songs are within that source and how many playlists you have within that source as well. Another of my favorite new features on here, it's a simple one, but you can now edit your playlists. Tap this button and I can hold and drag and drop the songs in a different order. So great. And with an update, you're going to be able to create new playlists on the device and then drag songs into that new playlist all on the device itself, bypassing having to do it all within the Rekordbox software on your laptop all the time. Now we're talking about streaming, let me just show you, we have got fast internet here. So if I load a song here from Tidal, it takes a few seconds to load. As soon as that's popped up, you can see I can start playing it, and there's this red bar that's ultimately caching the song. So if I were to play this song and the internet cut out, it would have it all stored within the actual player itself and you wouldn't lose the song. And it does the same thing with your USB drive now as well. So if I were to play the song and pull the USB drive out, it's actually cached the whole song. This leans into this new global tag listing feature. And you can see that's the normal one, and then we press global, we can see all of the tracks that we've tagged from all the different locations. So if I go back to browse, I could tag this track, and what it's going to do in the background, I can tag a few, it's going to actually download the songs, and you can see this cloud icon is now solid, and it means it's downloaded that song to the player. This one, again, it's going to do the same. I've been told that you can store up to 40 to 50 songs and it will download into the internal hard drive. However, I've not been told how big the internal storage is, but it means that you can pre-populate lots of streaming tracks and not worry about having to wait for them to load. So if I choose any from now, the tag list, it's pretty much instant that I'm ready to play it, as you see. Same again. So you didn't see that now loading for ages because it's pre-cached the track in the background. This is good because if I tap on global, it means that it will collate anything from my USB, from different streaming services, and put them all into this one place on the player. The last few bits to really highlight within the screen is the fact that we now have this hide song title icon, so we can hide the tracks. People can't write down the names from behind you. And we can also copy anything on the screen. So any of the text, like here the artist eats everything, I can hold on that and it copies it to the clipboard. And then if I wanted to go and search Tidal here, I can then paste that by pressing here. Straight away it pastes it, I can press search, and now it's just searched all of Tidal for all of Eats Everything's tunes nice and quickly. Another hugely useful feature is now the fact that it can cache the entire track from your USB drive as well. So if I were to play a song here, you can see this red bar loading along. Now, if for whatever reason you pull out the wrong USB drive, you don't have to worry about that emergency loop anymore. You can play the entire track. This red bar is showing what's being cached. So if I were to pull it out now, it still keeps playing. And I can play it up to this point. It might have even cached the whole track here. There we go, it's done the whole thing. So I can now do anything I want on this song. It's built into the player. You don't need to worry about that USB drive, causing issues, pulling out the wrong one when you're swapping over from other DJs, which is just something that we've been waiting for a long time. The grid editor has also had a big upgrade. If I hold this here, you see the grid editor pops up. The biggest thing really is the fact that we can now half and 2 times the grid. So for like a drum and bass track, if it's been analyzed at 87 BPM, you can double the grid just all on the player. You can shrink and expand the grid as well. So if it's wrong, you can adjust the grid like this. As you can see, we can try get it correct. We can reset it back to what it was. We can shift the grid left and right, but it's just a much more tactile and with a few more features all built in. That grid editor, nice upgrade. The key performance feature upgrades and the things that I love the most about this, it's simple, but it's the gated hot cue. Now there's literally a button that we tap on the screen here. And what it does is any hot cues that we set throughout the track. So let's say we set up some hot cues. Let's do another one here. And then let's do another one here. Now, usually you would press a hot cue and it jumps to it. But there's DJs out there that like to finger drum with hot cues and they might have different things set up. So if we go on gate cue, now when the track's paused, it acts like almost like a cue button like this. And you can just tap different parts of the song. So if you had like these bits of vocal, for example, I could just grab different bits and start cutting the song up. Not sure what these are, but and then on top of that, if we turn this off, there's also another feature, because at the moment, if I press Q, it goes back to the cue point. But if we go into the utility by holding the menu button here and go to overwrite current cue with hot cue, which is smart cue feature, if I turn that on and come off, now if I jump to this, obviously gate cue's off at this point and I play it from here, and now when I press the cue button, you'll see for the first time ever, we've got a different color cue. And that's representative of what this hot cue is here, and it will jump back to that point. So you could do like, and you can jump back and forth between stuttering with the cue and then doing like, and that, I've got to say, has probably been requested by James Hype himself. I can just see how he's going to use that in his sets. I've loaded a fresh song here just to demo the last of the hot cue features, which I think is super useful. Now, if you've got a track playing, there's times where you might want to jump to another point in the track or just set a hot cue for some creative finger drumming or something. Now, what you can do is you can tap on this overview waveform, scroll through the song to the point. It kind of locks to the grid, by the way, and then you can just tap an empty hot cue and it's now stored that, and I can just jump to that. Easy as that. And you can just go at any point. It will preview in the headphones as well, so you can listen to, you know, what part of the song it is, so you're not just doing it blind, and you can then jump around. I can just jump to different sections. Super useful. As you can see on the back of the unit, we've got USB-C now to go to your laptop for HID mode, which connects, plugs and plays with Rekordbox and with Serato DJ, and there are other connections coming soon for HID mode with different software. You've got the standard link port, you've got the digital out and the RCA out as standard, and the power cable, all pretty standard stuff. On the front, you'll see that NFC badge where you can tap your phone against it to quickly log in to the player. And of course, just a reminder, on the top, we have both USB-C and USB-A ports now for USB drives. There's also been sound improvements like a new ESS DAC with better signal to noise ratio. There's a tighter low end, and it means less fatigue on the highs as well. So realistically, those are all the new features and the new things to expect from this unit compared to its predecessor. Everything else functions pretty much the same. Now, something to be aware of is now that we've got streaming involved and now that we've got this cloud direct play connected, you've got to start thinking about how you manage your music. Because, for example, if you log into the streaming service on the player and you start setting up hot cues and things, unless you've got the cloud direct play, it doesn't necessarily save those hot cues. If you turn the unit off and turn it back on, it's wiped all of what you've set, for example. So this is where you're kind of being moved into this cloud music management. thinking about your music library as a cloud that connects to streaming services and local music library all at once, and everything has this central point that it goes through to then get to the unit. So it's just something to consider, and it's obviously part of the way that AlphaTheta are rolling out their ecosystem. I still think there needs to be some fine tuning done because it feels very detached at the moment, and it could definitely become a bit more cohesive and a bit easier to just get started with. We do have a full guide on Cloud Direct Play in the link, but just something to be aware of. So I've got a few things I really want to address, but before that, let's talk about what's actually here now. Is it new technology? Is it game changing? Well, not really. Like the technology has been around, and I can see the comments screaming at the moment with the usual thing of, this has been around for ages. But the fact of the matter is that we find CDJs in most club booths around the world. So this is the first time that we're seeing some of this technology really make its way into the club ecosystem, which will start to push the way that we operate very much so in a direction. I don't want to say forwards, I just say in a direction. Obviously, we still have the ability to plug a USB drive in and just continue using it in the same way we would have used previous models of CDJs. But you can see the trajectory here where we've gone from the CD bay drive has been removed, even though it's still called a CDJ. Now we're getting to the point where in 5 years' time, are we going to see the USB drive be removed, because everything's just going to be connected in the cloud. And I do like this idea of just going and tapping your phone with a single sign-on. We're so used to it with other software and technology out there that you just sign on once and then you get access to all of, the tools that you want to use. So it's an interesting move. I like that we're moving this way, but I'm glad that there isn't too much of a change just yet. Now, the fact that everything's starting to get connected via the cloud and different services are talking to each other, such as a Dropbox or a Google Drive, is also being bundled in with a streaming platform and this global tag list system. It got me thinking that surely, maybe, there is this world where we can connect other software to this device because it's now connected via the internet. So is it too far to reach that maybe they could use some sort of API connection between other third-party software? Now that laptops will become even less and less of a thing, they supported like Tractor and Serato and these other software via HID mode, but that's potentially going to become a thing of the past. So what's the future for that as well? Something to think about. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, stems mode. Now, I personally would have thought that stems would be here with this new CDJ. It has definitely made its mark in the industry and not going anywhere, right? So naturally you would have expected it to be in this CDJ, but it's not. Now, the fact that it can store up to 40 to 50 songs in its internal hard drive and it's got the power to do everything it does at the moment, surely they've thought about it, and I'm just praying that it is just waiting for a firmware update, but only time will tell. Obviously, the other thing is streaming too. You notice that we've got Tidal and we've got Beatport, but there are other streaming services out there. For example, in AlphaTheta's own Omnis Duo and AZ, they already have Apple Music in there. So surely it's just a matter of time. We're going to get an update and you're going to see more streaming services added to this thing too. And the other sort of disjointed thing, which maybe prompts me to think there's got to be a new mixer coming soon, because right now we've got a Pioneer DJ A9, which is the latest mixer in their range, and we've got an AlphaTheta CDJ-3000X. So that's two different brand names. Now, there's obviously been so much confusion around this switch from Pioneer DJ to AlphaTheta. And all of us here on YouTube are constantly asking AlphaTheta, what's going on? Are there ever going to be any more Pioneer DJ products? And at first glance, I thought the second this got released, then it's Pioneer DJ no more. But they said AlphaTheta markets and develops products underneath the Pioneer DJ brand. That's their official statement. Personally, I don't think we're going to get any more Pioneer DJ products, and I think this is just in a transition phase and we're going to now see everything labeled AlphaTheta, but that's what I hear. Don't forget that in the link below, there is a 5-lesson free CDJ masterclass skills course. There's some performance techniques that you can learn. There's some music management tips and some hacks and things around on the CDJs. Both apply to this CDJ and previous models as well. So go check that link out. And if that's not for you, then just make sure to watch this video where you can see the new CDJ in action in a full performance. Okay, that's the CDJ-3000X. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. I'm guessing you have lots of them. Does the AlphaTheta logo bug you a bit? Are you gonna ditch USB sticks and start relying on cloud music management? Like, what are your genuine thoughts? What did you expect from this? And what do you want to see potentially in a firmware update and a future update? Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you again soon.